3d6 down the line.
Okay, that is episode 79, the first of Del 5 in the books.
I'm just going to say, man, my brain is like really hurting right now. Like, this game is hard.
Yeah, dude.
Can we turn it to the easy difficulty?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a lot of fun, but I'm just like, there's a lot to think about here, man. This is like harder than my regular job.
Hey, if you want to play on story mode, we can always switch over to 5e, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, let's not get crazy.
Jeez. I was telling John while you were using the whatever, I was actually a little terrified. It's just so many. Everyone wants to kill us, and every time we meet someone new, they're going to be like, "Hey, that's cool. You should give that to me, or I'm going to kill you." And it's like, kind of tempting to just go. Let's go find the deepest part of the dungeon where no one will bother us, and we'll just delve down there. And
I love it because it's like it's cool to kind of stumble upon or seek out like one of these really powerful artifacts, and then you get that high of like, oh my god, we fucking found it! It's awesome, and it's freaking cool. It's got a lot of cool powers. Then you're like, oh shit, consequences.
Yeah, consequences.
Well, especially since we are not powers ourselves, right? Like, I'm a 5th level cleric, man. In the grand scheme of adventurers, that's like I'm middle management. You know what I'm saying? So everybody who's got like more going on than I do is just going to be like, give that to me right now. And one of the things, part of it is like I kind of want to get rid of it, and I want to make it very public that we get rid of it, so that all these other like agencies and powers and factions will just be like, oh, those guys don't matter anymore. They don't have it. Let's go get those guys over there. Like, it almost would be like cool to pick a faction you hate and give it to them, and then make sure everybody else knows that they have it. You know, we could totally destabilize Arden Vool that way.
I was kind of thinking that you were going to do that, or at least kind of ponder that whenever you got Laryl's stuff. Because that was the first time that I telegraphed that having powerful items is dangerous, because you, at that point, you still had access to Gosterwick. And remember, you had the meeting with Wick Trimmer.
Yeah.
And no one gets to meet Wick Trimmer, yet you did. And for a very specific reason. And Wick Trimmer was like, you know, like, it's really cool that you have that stuff. How about you fork it over? And you were like, nah.
Yeah. Well, and I think we established a good precedent then. And I think we should stick to it now and not giving it away. I think, as we were just talking about, we should be the faction. Otherwise, we should retire to Gostrick. We're plenty wealthy, right? So we might as well use it.
We're not playing D&D. Yeah,
right. We're not
playing D&D to be an employee here. Come on. That's not a fantasy I need to engage in. I don't need to report into my boss. All right.
Right.
To be fair to Ted, though, like when you do achieve that amount of treasure and that amount of money, it is supposed to be sort of like the end game or the next stage of the game where you would start doing domain management. But you know, we've talked about it. I don't want to rehash it in yet another detox, but it's just a different sort of campaign because we're working in a mega dungeon.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, to Mike's point, I obviously don't want to give it away, but I think the hex it provides essentially conceptually to someone is something we can leverage even if we don't actually give it. Propaganda is powerful, guys. Okay, so like claiming a thing happened, right, can spread very easily. It can be fecund in its own right. Proving that it didn't happen is very hard to do, especially if there's already contention between factions. So saying, for instance, that Mother has it when she doesn't, not that we want to sabotage that alliance right now. All we have to do is say it. Oh, we gave it to Mother. We can give a mundane circlet to Mother and go tell the people we got, well, there were witnesses, right? Like, it's obviously more complicated than that, but that's the kind of game we can play. I will also say, it only just occurred to me, but if we, for instance, were to go to the library right now and either take all of the books or take the ones we think are important or scribe them in our own parchment, there's a lot of value in burning the Library of Alexandria so no one else can access it. I mean, that's a very scorched earth policy.
Oh my God.
But I'm sorry to the networker. But like, there's a lot of value in going Napoleon in this moment and being like, well, it doesn't matter if you know where the library is. That information is here and you can't kill us if you want it. You have to keep us alive because this is the library now. And that is both a danger to us and it's a great power, right? And in what way? In the same way that like ransoming was powerful in the medieval era, and that's why heraldry came about, right? Like you won't want to be killed on the battlefield. You endanger yourself in other ways, right? But like that is a very acute political maneuver, right?
Garrelad doesn't need us to have all of our arms and legs to retain the information about where the library is.
No, not where the library is. Where like all of the regalia is. Where
either way,
I don't know that Garrelad necessarily gives a shit about the regalia.
That was just an example. You don't follow the Garrelad part. My point being that you can be a armless, legless, miserable thing and still be able to tell people stuff when they torture you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You can also just as a I have these vague memories of being a very valuable resource for the party who was very suddenly and abruptly ended.
Yes.
And it could be a pit trap that you don't notice. It could be just an unlucky or lucky roll. And all that knowledge would just be gone from the whole party too.
Well, and this is why, like, I totally agree. I think that's a huge risk, but that's why when Ted is talking about being on a faction, we should even consider it further in the same way that all of these dogmas we've encountered throughout the eras of this dungeon are effectively cults, various cults with information that they treasure, right? The dissemination of that information to our interior court is a backup, right? Like our retainers have, in other words, it doesn't have to just be the PCs, but there does have to be a way to prevent that from slipping from our retainers or our allies from sharing it, right? But that means it has to be a very closed circle. But we could insulate, in other words, there should be a person at whatever haven there is that always has that information. It'd be foolish for us not to share it with them,
Can I just have John, can you one more time? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around the mass charm thing. It functions as charm monster.
Mm-hmm.
It can do twice the caster's level of hit dice.
Mm-hmm.
What's the duration? Is there a duration based on intelligence like charm monster and the SRD?
Yeah, it's the same as charm monster for the duration. So I would have to look that up.
But there's no limit. I've got it here in front of me. That's okay. It's like if they're intelligent but not super intelligent, it's like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit. Like I can do it once per day, but there's no limit to how many people I can actually have charmed at any given time.
Only up to hit dice.
You are your own.
So per casting though.
Per casting, yeah.
So on Monday I cast it and I charm 3 baboons.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday I cast it and I charm 3 more baboons.
Yes, that's correct.
So I can just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And even if the baboons will not fight Garrelad because they're not going to go against their like whatever, they won't fight us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Dude, I mean, the problem is numbers. There are so many hit dice of baboons down there.
Absolutely, Matt. I use the baboons as an example, but that could be beastmen, that could be goblins, that could be any number of like low hit die mooks that we want to just follow us around. Like here's the deal, right? Like looking at the thing, if they have an intelligence of 3 to 8, if they save once per month, like once per month, man, the dumber the better, baby.
We have a retinue. Oh, look who speaking of.
What up, baby?
Oh, there's a charming monster.
Yeah. Again, like if we were to, not that this is the exact trajectory, right? But let's say we do go to the cult level and we do move our stash, and then we charm a bunch of effectively like guards to hang out there, and we know it'll last for a month, and then we go back and recharm them, and now we have, again, let's think like these cults. Let's be the cult, right? That's how these like sort of systems grow and power.
The circuit's
right?
even more powerful than that. John, can you cast spells through clairaudience and clairvoyance?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's purely like a sensory thing. In fact, I'm almost
I
positive.
like, I thought it was like a ruling from afar was the whole point of the circlet.
It's ruling as in that you can see what your subjects are doing, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
What kind of person, like, what's the relationship do you have to have someone be able to see or hear through their senses?
I'm using the Osric version of it, so hold on a second. Hold on.
While he's looking that up, you can use clairaudience from the spaceship in the stratosphere where we're hovering in, where we have a rug. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying we should be, again, the moon analogy, we should be moving very fast and hard towards these touchstones of power.
I don't disagree with that. We have the code, we have the key card to get into the hangar, we think. The thing is I don't know that it necessarily gets us past the death bots.
We have a lightning rod, and I have a scroll of lightning bolt now. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
how far away are you from being able to scribe that into your spell book? Like, what level do you have to be 5th level?
I don't know what level lightning bolt is because
lightning bolt is 3rd. It's always been 3rd. It always will be 3rd. 3rd level forever, baby. So
I mean, Titus was able to scribe 3rd level spells. He just couldn't
cast them.
Cast them, yeah.
And he actually has lightning bolt in his scroll book, so we had that spell somewhere already.
We have a lot of tools to take that robot out now. Not that it'll be easy, but if we're smart about it and we're not stumbling into it like we did last time and kind of doing, like damage or like a crisis mitigation, right? I think we'll be okay. Literally, again, fire portal, cockpit of ship. We're inside. You know what I mean? Like, we blast the robot with the turret. I mean, I don't know. I don't know it's actually possible, right? But like, rather than like knocking on the front door with the key card, there's value in maybe like ambushing, right? Like in a different, unexpected way.
Not to mention, there was buckets of Arcanum in there.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about the Arcanum.
So, and this is the thing, right? You're talking about magic as an incredibly powerful thing. That as a base with mooks who defend it, right? And maybe we leave I keep forgetting the name, the spirit Eustace. Maybe we leave him patrolling to the north and we just leave him as an emergency system. We leave all that as is, right? And we just have our base there with just and we have hangar doors that we can open up. We can go say hi to Goster. We can say hi to Alexia. I just don't think we should say hi with our words.
You've had it in for her since you've heard the name.
David Carter.
I'm not a royalist. No one's surprised I'm not a royalist. All right.
All right. Well, on that topic, I have other topics to discuss.
Sure. Let's go.
On that topic, I have a thought. I do not think we should waltz into Gosterwick, give her the circlet, and take our meager reward and be on our way. I do think that we should consider waltzing into Gosterwick, to either teleporting or using the Beastman exit or whatever, and exercising that butt note.
Yeah.
Right? Because then we have a currency that is of no value to us, incredible value to her, that we can barter with and get something from her. Maybe we can say, hey, you know what? We're pretty good at this, despite the fact that we're all like level 4 mooks. We're pretty good at this. Give us the lead, give us whatever information, Isocritus, other people, what do you have? How can you help us get you this mythical regalia to help fight your brother? Maybe she can feed us more information. Maybe give us some good stuff, right? Maybe bolster us a little bit.
There's that, and I'll be real honest with you. I would feel a lot safer with all of our loot in a vault in Gosterwick for some reason. Just it feels better to me there than any place that we've been able to find in the dungeon. I know David disagrees. I know you disagree, but we're about to lose our safe haven with the goblins. I kind of feel like we are. And when that happens, then we're going to be shuttling this goddamn loot around all over the place. Wouldn't it be great to transfer all those solidai into gems? And you could just pick up a sack of gems and run with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have a ton of big giant things that we could just liquidate and put it in more portable treasure, so that when the time comes to move our stash, it's not like a 3-day or 9-turn ordeal. You know?
You also need to get that shit identified.
Yes.
for one thing.
We have so many items that we need to have identified.
That little chair, that little chair has been haunting me. That we got from the
You have so much stuff. You just got a whole bunch of stuff right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We got these
right?
boots, we got the net, we got like
the little beads,
the mace that I'm using, we got like the little beads. Like we have so much stuff. It's like I kind of like Matt's idea, and you know what? It kind of gets us out of the dungeon for a little bit when everyone's looking for us. So
I will say too.
Maybe our next. Oh, go ahead.
Just real quick. Realistically, the goblins, even though you're still really tight with them, so no sweat with that right now. But eventually, because there's constantly goblins that are in the debauche, they have been seeing you constantly arrive from the pyramid room, and they're going to start to wonder, right? Like why they keep coming out of that room. You know what I mean? They haven't seen. You're always very careful because the green mist is there. So like when you rise up to the top of the pyramid and then use the plunger to go into the stash, there's no one to see you actually manipulate the plunger itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noted a couple of times that they're in the corridor outside there, like by the magic mouths. And so, it's common knowledge that you guys, usually when you guys make a delve, you always end up like sort of coming out from the pyramid. And as far as they know, like there's nothing in that room except for weird green mist. So,
and this is why I've been really pushing for us to establish a new safe haven in another location as fast as possible. Right. I do think going to Gosterwick is something we need to do. I don't think the example John just gave about the goblins is equally applicable as we learned through Wick Trimmer and anyone who will identify magic items for us in Gosterwick. Not that it's a trap that John's setting for us, but the minute we show up with all that shit, we have a far larger amount of factional. There's so many more eyes on us as targets than there ever have been before. Yes, we have a lot on us now, but that's an expanding, not a retracting problem the minute we go to Gosterwick. Also, Gosterwick is a one-way trip. It's a one-way trip. We have to leave a rug there forever. So the minute we go to Gosterwick via fire portal, we lose the rug. We can't use that trick ever again.
We don't have to do that. We can just mundanely come back.
We have a dragon. We have a dragon that will kill us.
Nobody
who doesn't know any of us
alive anymore.
The other thing is I'm going to be having to advocate a lot for mundane travel wherever possible. I got a guy who can't go anywhere.
Right.
I agree. And I don't want to be annoying, but this seems like a meta thing that we resolve rather than fundamentally changing the aspect of the game. It's like running a character that prevents an entire party from doing a thing that's essential to the function of the dungeon is like it's something we should discuss rules wise. The entire teleportation network he wouldn't use, and it's the only way we progress in this game is non-mundane travel. It's built for non-mundane travel.
It is, yeah.
That's a conversation we all have to have because like it breaks the game in my opinion entirely for us not to be able, even if we're not doing fire portal, the teleportation network was put there because it's a incredibly abstruse dungeon, and the time it takes for us to get anywhere on the clocks that we use, even with the factions we're talking about right now, screw us. Like we're donezo with any of these clocks ticking. With the goblin,
I love the character, Matt, but a character that will not use any magical stuff is a pretty hard in a high magic game is a pretty hard thing to run. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm finding that out now.
Maybe, yeah. Well, maybe that's something that, like, I mean, I don't want to say how we should rule that, but maybe we make an exception for teleports that John's okay with, and just no other magic is acceptable. I don't know.
Or that's a conversation we all have. Oh, maybe he just retires and becomes an NPC in the debouchement or guarding our stuff or wherever.
Maybe Mike charms him and makes him use magic with the charm spell.
Yeah.
You could do it, and yeah. I mean, I don't
want kind of a rude thing to do, but it was a joke.
David, what if we find out there's a teleport circle somewhere in Gosterwick?
I mean, there definitely is.
There is.
There 100% is. Like Wick Trimmer, almost certainly Wick Trimmer controls that one. Is what I'm going to put it out there. He, as the nature of his class and his secrecy means that he probably built his faction around a teleport circle, and Alexia probably has one too. Which means we have to expose ourselves to them to use it there. But again, I think the bigger question is like, do we make an exception for teleportation with the magic thing we're doing, whatever? It doesn't have to be a conversation we resolve now. But like it's a perfect example of like, discussion for us.
I would suggest that. So first of all, in terms of the safe haven and the stash. Those are two different things, right? So the stash is full of mostly mundane, valuable things and some magic stuff we need to identify. The bulk of it being the mundane, valuable stuff that frankly isn't doing us any good. It's a ton of money. We go hire someone to identify things on our terms in our location. We bring them to us. Wick trimmer's not there. We spend the money like water. Get rid of it, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If we're not using it to build a castle or hire 10,000 dwarves, we might as well just pay whatever the identifying sage asks and bring him and identify all the stuff and quit having to haul it. We don't need a stash if there's nothing in it. That being said, we do have the library that we've assembled. It's quite a lot of valuable books, but almost everything else we could get rid of. So I think something like that, where we go to Gosterwick and give the note to Alexia, and then find some guy and say, hey, I'll give you 20,000 gold to come with me and identify a bunch of stuff and just spend it. Spend the money because we're not using it. 5,000 gold pieces worth of furniture.
Do we have like excess of like 80K right now or something?
We got a lot. While you look that up, I'm going to go check on that kid. I'll be right back. Okay.
Let's see here. Well, we've got nearly 9,000 in Gosterwick already. We've got currently 50,000 cash in the pyramid, and I have not actually added up the value of many other things that are hard to realize cash on. So yeah, I mean, all told, we're probably in the 80 range. The 50 is like coins and gems and obviously, fungible stuff. There's other things. There's artworks and alabaster jars and what have you that we could sell. So it's a lot. I say we spend it and we don't have to worry about it.
2 points to keep in mind. You have yet to ask the goblins or the beastmen if their magic users can identify. For one thing, never asked. And then 2, regarding teleportation circles, the presence of them, possible presence of them in Gosterwick. Be aware that these were created by ancient Arcontians who worship Thoth. Gosterwick is not only
a new town.
It's a new town, correct? Exactly.
Yeah.
The newest.
But on that question, though, John, do you recall when we ended up in that area that was frozen?
Yeah.
We cleaned a teleport circle off there, right? That was what we cleaned up. But we don't have the address for that one, do we?
Unless we do.
We do?
We got it from Isocritus's book, which is why we thought to go there. We have the address.
Correct.
That's why I keep saying we should go there. We can just go there with the regular teleport circle right now and be back at a likely regalia location. And now with the circlet, we can detect secrets. So the probability that we will get the second regalia piece increases exponentially while we have the circlet in my mind. And because we can teleport there literally next session, it's a huge objective that we should not overlook.
Love that. I got to think, though, just having from a game design point of view, the regalia that we found, that was probably one of the easier ones to find, considering it's on kind of like the level of the dungeon that most people are starting on. And it wasn't exactly super well hidden, right? It was in a room that was defended. It had a very sick and awful defender. Like, every piece of regalia that we find is going to have at least a Neferet, maybe worse. And,
very likely.
And so
look at John's face. Look at that face.
Yeah.
John.
well, it's a very logical conclusion. Yes.
Yeah.
John's like, yeah, you should make a run for those.
Yeah. So like,
bring the first level guys.
Are we biting off more than we? Oh, bye, Ted. Are we biting off more than we can chew by trying to get those things right away, David?
Well, I think it's a very valid question. But again, rather than obviously our character levels are important, but the reason I've reiterated the regalia and the spaceships over and over again is a laser rifle against Neferet would have been pretty fucking useful.
Hell yeah.
I mean, straight up, right? Like, I would love to pulse rifle the alien queen instead of throwing stones at her. You know what I mean? Like, and so the question to me isn't, should we gain 5 more levels doing level, like, like floor 2 exploration while she gets it anyway, because she's going, in my opinion, she's going straight to the library right now. I think she's probably, if not, I think it's a likely thing that she's going straight to the library, which means we got to get the library within the next day. She's going there.
Right.
So like the objective, the urgency is like, well, and we just got that note, right? The urgency is like, well, we the minute we can, we got to go to the library right now. Gosterwick is off the table if we don't want Neferet to have that, because she's going there. We know she is, or she's going somewhere else, likely, but that seems like a high likelihood. And if that's the case, then like, there's a car alarm going off outside. I hope you can't hear it.
Guys, I gotta check out. It's pretty late for me here, so
go ahead,
I'll leave you to find Neferet, and we'll take that up next time.
If that's the case, though, Mike, I'll be more.
Ted.
We're sending Neferet to your address, Ted.
Yeah, I'll be a little more succinct. If that's the case, well, it doesn't mean I'm right, but like if that's the case, if we worry that at all, it could be the case, then it's better for us to assure that it isn't, and me be wrong that she's going there, than not assure that it isn't and me be right. Because the power creep then is huge. So then it kind of is like, we should go to the library, boom. Then we should go get a laser rifle, boom. Then we should, you know what I mean? Like the order is falling in front of us in a very obvious way, in my opinion. Yeah. And that doesn't involve me getting the next level of experience at all. It doesn't involve me going and like persuading. I want that to happen as well, but it doesn't involve me persuading Mother not to kill us or the Goblin King to help us. It involves me going and getting something that is powerful that I can use as leverage. Yeah.
We're incredibly urgent about the same thing, David. We're actually, of course, because we all know that yes, levels make you feel good and they are wonderful, but like a plasma rifle in the hand is worth a D4 hit points next level.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I agree, but I guess my point is like whether the power comes from leveling or comes from acquiring things in the dungeon to make us more powerful. Sure. Either way, I think we got to have a little bit more juju in us before we go try and take another piece of regalia from probably another defender that is just as sick, if not worse. So we went into that one room. Remember, we went into that one room in the ice area, and there was just that lady just hanging out,
waiting for us. Of course,
covered in ice, and
you guys noped out of that one.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think the circlet, though, if there's a way to circumvent that, right? For instance, if there's a secret door, the circle shows us, right? If we don't want to walk in front of her, but to rewind, like, who's to say we can't? I mean, this goes to our resurrection stuff a bit. Who's to say we can't take Yost's body and go throw it in one of the yellow tubes in that UFO thing and have something fun happen? You know what I mean? Like this is we tried
that with the Nexamander.
Might be a little bit pissed.
Oh, we did do it with Nexamander. I forgot about that. But my point is like the highest level of technology and esoterics, including the wizard room in the debauch that with the puzzle that we never solved, is accessible to us. Talking to someone is a waste of my time. I need to go get that before the 12 other people that want to kill us, who are now learning that might exist, get it. Right.
It sounds
That's
like
all I'm getting at.
I mean, I think it seems like. I mean, you guys can decide, obviously, and we'll next week. But it seems like the secret library is your very next stop. To me,
be. I think.
I mean, I'm not putting the words in your mouth, but it sure seems like, just based upon what your timelines are looking like, or what you think might happen, that's probably likely where you're going to have to go.
I mean, at minimum, if we do have to give up the circlet, I would rather have already been to the library and know where the other stuff is, if it helps us, right? Like, if it is inevitable that we're going to lose before we gain again, I'd like to gain as much as we can before just accepting that. And that's moving our stash, going to the library, blah, 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 blah. I'll stop ranting. But yeah, it's a very interesting conundrum. I love it.
Never gets any easier.
No, baby, it only gets harder. You don't play
the
the game if you want to win. You know what I mean?
That's from war games.
I was running a game for my kids today, and like the simplicity of the dungeon was just such a
breath of fresh air.
Main trap, kids.